I think there's so many powerful people that are on those lists. There's so many powerful people that went and partied. Air quotes, partied. And how many of them went to the Diddy parties? Have you been paying attention to the trial?
Oh, yeah.
Trials. Wild.
Joe Rogan just spilled the real reason Diddy got locked in solitary. The man didn't just get moved for no reason. What he did to that inmate has the whole facility talking. Joe's saying that this wasn't random, and if what he is hinting at is true, the investigation into Diddy didn't just start when he got hit with the RICO charges. It may have been building for decades. So as y'all already know, Sean Diddy Combs doing time at the Fort Dix Federal Correctional Facility. Yeah, the 4 years he got hit with by Judge Arun Subramanian on 2 lesser charges out of the 5 counts he was facing. Still, the case is far from over. According to Joe Rogan, the investigation that pulled Diddy into federal custody didn't start with the scandals that made the headlines. It started with something much older, something that's been haunting hip-hop for almost 3 decades, the alleged takeout of Tupac Shakur. And once that possibility entered the conversation, people started looking at the timeline different, because Tupac's death was never just another unsolved celebrity crime. Now let's rewind back to how this all started. It was a moment that changed the entire music industry overnight. Back in the mid-1990s, Tupac, Diddy, and the notorious B.I.G. were once friends, 3 rising stars shaping the sound of hip-hop. Yeah, folks still remember that 1993 freestyle between B.I.G. and Shakur, people saying they looked really cool. But somewhere along the way, the friendship turned into one of the most explosive rivalries the culture had ever seen. East Coast versus West Coast, Death Row Records versus Bad Boy Entertainment.
You ready, nigga? Yeah. Ready for that raw dog?
I'm on underground, man.
Okay, all right. Let me see how I'm gonna hit you with. You wanna set it off?
Yeah, I'm scared to do some freestyle. I'm scared to do some freestyle. Blow, I'm too high and I might go off tempo, but now I'm back to
And when Tupac was shot in Las Vegas in September of 1996, the entire industry froze. For years, nobody was charged. The case became a legend that people talked about but never solved. Documentaries were made, books were written, conspiracy theories that spread through the streets and the internet. But recently, something changed, because in 2023, a man named Dwayne Keith D. Davis was finally indicted in connection with Tupac's death. And the moment that happened, a lot of old stories came back to life, including the one that connects the case to Diddy.
There's also, you go into the book, that apparently there was supposed to be $1 million that Zip was supposed to bring back, but he ended up keeping the money and buying a nightclub with it.
That's what the FBI said.
The FBI said that.
Yeah.
Now fast forward, Diddy making headlines again. Word is that Diddy got placed in solitary confinement at Fort Dix. The phone call came through clear. Diddy choked the man out. He was placed in solitary on July 23rd around 4 in the afternoon. He'll be there for at least 30 days, is what the streets heard. His team still trying to figure it out. They didn't dispute the call. People been thinking they can play with him inside because of all the reporting around the case, or because he's a big celebrity. They thought he was used to being protected. But folks who know better already warned that Diddy is not a sucker. He been known to grab people and yoke them up even with security standing right there. That energy didn't leave him at the gate.
Well, I got a phone call yesterday that Diddy was placed in solitary confinement because he, a man. I was told, literally, the phone call was, hey, Diddy choked the man out. He was placed in solitary confinement yesterday, July 23rd, around 4 o'clock p.m. And he'll be there for at least 30 days, is what I was told. I reached out to Diddy's team. At the time, they knew I was calling, but they still trying to figure it out. They said that they don't know either way, but they didn't dispute my phone call.
What happened though?
So all that I know and all that was mentioned to me, I don't know every detail. Literally, though, I said why. They said, sometimes people think that they can play with him, and I don't know if it's because of all of the reporting around the case, or if it's because he's a big celebrity and they think that he's used to being like protected. But I was told people think that they can play with him, and we've told people don't think that. And
I told people 1,000,001 times.
Yesterday he had to demonstrate. Allegedly.
I mean, we laugh at Diddy and all that, but Diddy's not. I've seen Diddy grab people, yoke people up in clubs, like with security there. Diddy's no. Like Diddy's, he's with all the ish.
But here's where it gets deeper. The brawl inside wasn't random. According to the whispers Joe Rogan has been amplifying, that inmate confrontation ties straight back to the old Tupac files. The same files that keep resurfacing with new names and new questions. Investigators highlighted from day one that Suge Knight's side of the story on Tupac has always been weird. People are still questioning why Suge never gave Tupac real security that night. After what just went down, Suge should have understood exactly who he was dealing with. He should have shut his artist down or moved him in a way where nobody could get close. Instead, there was no security on him. Later, Suge said he and Pac had conversations even after he'd been shot multiple times.
let me just finish, Suge, by asking you this. You were there when one of the all-time most famous music icons was. You were sitting next to him. What was the last thing that Tupac said to you?
Well, the crazy thing about it, nobody followed us, nobody came, nobody come to help. And as we sitting there, I looking at him, he looking at me. I said, man, look, we ain't gonna go straight ahead this way to the hospital. I'm gonna do a U-turn, and we gonna go to the hospital off of Las Vegas Boulevard. He said, why? I said, because it's more lights and more people. And he said, well, let me drive. I said, I'm driving. He said, man, you bleeding all through your head. You can't see, I can see.
Folks been reacting really loud to Suge's claims, as this user puts it. I don't trust a word Suge has ever or will ever say. Another wrote, Suge is lying. He knows who killed Pac. Another said, I thought they laughed the whole way there. His previous story never mentioned Pac wanting to drive. That's a new bit added. Yet another comments, somehow that story ain't sound right. Then this user goes, he has multiple wounds in his torso. I doubt he didn't say much. To make it even weirder, Suge claimed that Tupac was doing well and recovering in the hospital. He said when he left that hospital, he and Tupac were laughing and joking. He couldn't see how somebody could turn from doing well to doing bad so fast. But police reports said Tupac was in a very deep sleep. There was no way Suge was talking to him and hearing laughter. Detective Russell Poole long suspected that Suge arranged Tupac's passing before he could exit the label and framed the rival Crips to throw off detectives. Some folks agree because Snoop Dogg is the most famous Blue member and he had connections to the night Tupac passed. Snoop admitted himself that he was supposed to be with Tupac that night, but he didn't go. They weren't seeing eye to eye. On the flight back to LA after the Tyson fight buildup, Snoop didn't feel comfortable. He slept under a blanket with a knife just in case something went wrong. The timing of the Tupac and Snoop beef is very convenient. Just 2 days before Tupac was targeted, Tupac started hating him after Snoop said in an interview that he liked Puffy and Biggie's music and wanted to work with them. That rubbed Tupac the wrong way hard.
What was you and Pac's relationship prior to his passing?
I say a week before he died, we was best of friends. 2 days before he died, I don't think he liked me.
Why?
Because we was in New York, and New York did all kind of shit to me, like, and I forgave him. And went and did an interview and was asked, how do I feel about Puffy and Biggie? And I was like, I want to do some music with him. And that just rubbed Cuz the wrong way, like, then tried to kill me. And you tell me you want to do a song with him? I wasn't thinking about his emotions. I was thinking about the way I felt at the time. They was our friends. We was all friends at one point. This video footage of all of us hanging out. Pac, Biggie, Puff, Suge, all of us together. That, to me, I never seen myself getting involved.
Now Rogan said Diddy allegedly had an eye on Pac's girlfriend. Later, Diddy started a family with Tupac's ex-girlfriend. Diddy even has a daughter named Chance Combs with Sarah Chapman in 2006. She famously dated Tupac in 1995, and the fact Tupac was with her really made Diddy mad. Diddy described Sarah as being the one and that she was his dream girl. That was likely the reasoning for the first time Diddy tried taking out Tupac. The first attempt failed, which led to him trying again. A former cop discovered Diddy had Tupac dealt with for $1 million, which is what got Suge Knight to retaliate and have Biggie taken out. Word on the street is Diddy hired Keith D in order to take out Tupac. Keith D himself told the police about it in an interrogation. On 4 different occasions in San Diego, Anaheim, Irvine, and Vegas, Keith D said he talked to Puffy. And when it came to Tupac, it was really about both of them.
Keith D claims that there is this ongoing conversation. It happens on 3 different occasions. But most specifically when he and Puffy are at this place called Greenblatt's Deli on Sunset. And they're there, things have spiraled out of control. Puffy's really concerned about, the welfare of his safety. And he tells Keefe D, man, I just need you to take care of this situation with Suge and Tupac. It's out of control. And he says, I just need you to take care of him. And Keefe D's like, that's no problem. That's what we do. And so an agreement was made, according to Keefe D, for an amount of money. And they kind of just let it go at that point in time. But of course, Keefe D knows in the back of his mind, this is what Puffy wants done. And they all end up out in Las Vegas. But of course, when we interview Keefe D, he's like, yeah, that's what the agreement amount was, $1 million.
So according to Keefe, he's claiming that Puffy offered him $1 million to Suge or Tupac?
Both
or
of them.
both.
Yeah, both their names came up. And according to Keefe D, says, you know, Tupac's put himself on the list by all the talking that he was doing. But it was really about Suge, because it was Suge's muscle.
Now back to Fort Dix. That inmate brawl that landed Diddy in solitary is being whispered about as more than just prison tension. The streets saying the man who got choked out might have been running his mouth about them old Tupac files, the same files that named Diddy $1 million offer, Keefe D statements, motive with Sarah Chapman. When you sit in a low security federal institution with a lot of interaction between inmates, old scores and knowledge can surface fast. Allegedly, the inmate also mentioned Diddy with the Epstein network, so it got Diddy feeling really pissed. Y'all remember the same elite networks that move young talent through protected spaces? Them closed-door environments that left lasting damage and power plays that silenced people who knew too much. Diddy and Epstein allegedly shared the same type of circles, the parties, overlap, islands, and the access. If the inmate at Fort Dix knew pieces of that larger picture, and if the conversation turned to Tupac and who really ordered what, then choking a man out suddenly looks less like random prison violence and more like protection of old secrets. Joe Rogan been connecting these dots in real time. The investigation that started decades ago with Tupac never really closed. Prosecutors need one thing: proof. Who paid the money, where it went, and who can confirm the conversations behind it. If investigators can trace that money trail, the entire story changes. If they can't, Tupac's death may remain one of hip-hop's biggest mysteries. But inside Fort Dix, the past just collided with the present, and Diddy got moved to solitary because of it. Now, spotlight on you. What does it mean when an inmate brawl inside a federal facility starts looking like unfinished business from 1996? Who else inside those walls knows pieces of the Tupac file? And if the Epstein networks and the bad boy networks overlap the way so many claim, how many more names are still sitting quiet, hoping none of this reaches them? The street's been asking these questions for almost 30 years. Now the answers might be closer than ever. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like and subscribe, and don't miss the next video on your screen. It gets even crazier.